everybody. You're listening to an all-new episode of the Christian Gray Snow Show, a podcast from Hurrdat Media. I am your host, Christian Gray Snow, and yes, I'm sorry I was not here last week, but because of that, we have so much stuff to catch up on. So let's make like Marisol with a cup of vodka at 8 o'clock in the morning, and let's get started. All right, it's been an insane week of back and forth in New York with the women of RHONY Legacy and the network, with Bravo, with NBC, with Peacock. So we all know that RHONY Legacy was slated to come to Peacock at some point in 2023. They were supposed to start filming at some point early in the year. However, at the beginning of the week, a report from Page 6 indicated that negotiations had stalled between NBC and Luann, Jill, Kelly, Dorinda, and Sonia. Yes, you don't hear Ramona's name because, as we know, Ramona had already confirmed that she was not going to be involved. Then a couple of days later, there were conflicting reports when Andy tweeted, "Don't believe everything you read," and put hashtag RHONY Legacy. And this was just minutes after Page 6 published another story saying that not only had negotiations stalled, but that due to the negotiation stalling, like it was just completely going like on pause. Like Bravo was like, we'll just deal with it later, on pause. And, you know, as we've heard from Dorinda, on pause. So then Luann then goes to People. Now, mind you, this is all already confusing because there's already been a story saying they lost interest. Andy came out saying, and then another one saying it was officially on pause. And then Andy came out saying, don't believe everything you read. And then Luann goes to People and says, no, it's absolutely confirmed that negotiations have stalled. So I feel like we are watching Ramona and Jill in like a tennis match, and the ball is just going back and forth. Like we're just watching the women do some shit, the network put out some shit. And so like at first I was confused because like I didn't know. But now it seems to me, it's definitely clear that, you know, the women of the cast are trying to get more money. Obviously, like the original story was that, you know, Bravo was maybe losing interest because they wanted too much money. But however, you know, I thought that like someone at Bravo put out this story, you know, to be like, oh, well, they're losing interest because the women want too much money, thinking the women would see it and be like, y'all, we got to get our shit together. Like, let's just sign and get the show on the road, literally. However, it seems the OGs know their way around the block. They've done this a time or two. They've been around the negotiation block many, many times. And they said who can play that game? Because not only have they been feeding stuff to the press, you know, Luann, People magazine, direct statement, Luann doing this fake photo op with Page 6 where she looks disheveled over the news that the show was going on pause, even though we know she was the one feeding Page 6. And you know, so not only have they been doing that, they've been going on social together. They went, you know, Ramona, Dorinda, and Lou went out to lunch for a little reunion, clearly posted it on social to rub in Bravo's face.
Guess who I'm going to lunch with today? I have the one and only.
Hi.
Luann. And the one and only.
Hello.
The dynamic trio. It's so good to be reunited with my girl.
And it feels so good.
Feels so good.
Old times.
So clearly they're doing this because they know that the response on social media is going to be explosive. They know that all of us are going to be like, oh my God, look how good it is to see them back together again. Andy, how could you fucking do this to us? NBC, how could you do this to us? Blah, blah, blah. And so they know what they're doing. They're putting pressure on the network via fan reaction on social media, right? And by doing so, they're doing so by taking pictures together, being out together, leaking these stories to the press. And, you know, I don't know who's going to, it's like a game of chicken in the pool, you know, like whenever it's like, who's going to, is it chicken? What's the game where you're like, you run at each other and then somebody has to turn away first? Like you don't want to collide. And so it's just kind of like, who's going to give, you know? That is probably a fucking dumbass comparison. So let's, who knows who's going to fold first is what I'm trying to say when it comes to the women of Legacy and those handling the negotiations over at NBC. So listen, all I know is we deserve this. They deserve their money. And I would be lying to say that I hope that this hard pause in negotiations doesn't somehow get Ramona's name back in the mix. Just saying. I think Ramona, found out that negotiations were at a stall because the women wanted more money. I'm wondering if that's why Ramona, kind of wasn't involved in the first place, or maybe NBC just didn't want her. But now that she knows that everyone's really, really holding out, she's like, hell, I'll come. There's going to possibly be more money involved and I can be a tactic to help that happen. Let's do it. All right, we're going to hop over to Potomac for a second. And, this entire season of Real Housewives of Potomac, season 7, has just been filled with a number of cheating allegations, more or less, because, we heard that Chris Bassett had eyes for other women, for what's her face, Deborah. Eddie, happy. They said he was smiling at other women. Juan has a Georgetown blonde. Karen was getting fucked in club bathrooms and out in Vegas with blue eyes. However, despite the plethora of cheating allegations and cheating storylines on this season of Potomac, Robin Dixon knew that Juan had another girl on the side he was talking to going into season 7. Yet Robin, instead of showing a true facet and aspect of her life for once, and instead of showing it on the show, saved it for she and Giselle's podcast. And not only the podcast, the Patreon, where you have to pay to get it. So you got to basically turn over some coin to even get the tea. So, mind you, Robin also went and got married off camera after the season wrapped, knowing Juan had recently had someone else on the side. Okay. I don't know what to say, because I get that people have the argument Robin, doesn't owe her life to the audience. Absolutely. I will agree with that, especially when people have children. I get it. For example, Jennifer Aiden over in Jersey, her children were never aware of Bill's infidelities, before the show. And that's why she didn't bring it up, was because she never wanted her kids to find out. So to me, that's why it was fucked up that Margaret brought it up, because that was basically telling the kids. However, in Potomac, Robin has been open about Juan, stepping out previously, and previous girlfriends, like when they had like separations and things like that. So I'm not saying it's reason enough to be mad as a viewer necessarily that she omitted this from the storyline. Okay. However, when you take that, combine it with the fact that we've been toying around with this engagement for 3 years, it feels fake as hell. There's no substance. Then find out that she got married off camera post-season, and then to put 2 and 2 together and realize that she was trying on dresses and having real life moments, real life wedding moments, like talks and stuff with friends, never acknowledging the issue that her man had someone else on the side not that long ago. How in the world are you, as a reality television star, not acknowledging that reality? And then, to combine that, finally and lastly, with what went down in Mexico when Karen brought up the Georgetown blonde and Robin FaceTimed Juan on camera for both of them to laugh and deny it, and to basically make Karen look like an idiot, and to make the audience, anybody that took it for any bit of granted and did, that they were dumb for believing it. Now, we as viewers have a right to be pissed, because now you have insulted our intelligence in a number of ways. It's the whole fucking thing is phony. And then again, knowing good and goddamn well Robin is making a pretty fucking penny from NBC at this point, to go in charge, I hope it was worth it. You can't tell me that there's no fucking way the network is happy about this. No fucking way. I can't wait to see what Andy has to say to her. And like I've said in previous episodes, like Okay, let me start. Anyone who knows me knows that I value OGs. I love OGs in any city, and I want them to have, longevity as a housewife for as long as possible. I'm thankful we have made it this long with 4 OGs, 7 seasons, 4 OGs. That's pretty fucking cool, However, to me, it is becoming more and more, unfortunately, clear that the 4 OGs, not all of them, can be the pathway forward for Potomac at this point. That's just my opinion. Ashley obviously can always stay in my book. I love Ashley. Candace is the star of this show, followed by Mia. Karen might be a liar, but at least she's fucking funny, versus Giselle and Robin, who at this point just seem to plot on each other for a paycheck and basically come up with a plot and a script to, stick by throughout the season. And it feels like they're just defrauding the network at this point. Like, what do we know about Giselle? What do we know about Robin? Honest to God. And so I don't know. I think these recent events only highlight why, I think changes have to be made in Potomac before next season gets started. I think it's going to hurt. But we have to rip the Band-Aid off. I love Potomac, and I want the crazy, amazing, like, high ride that they've had for all these years to just keep going. And I feel like with fucking fraudulent storylines and disrespect for the audience and disrespect for all the other women in your cast and all the other women in other cities who have quite literally bared it all these years, it's just a slap in the face, and it's not fair to them to get away with this shit. So something has to change. All right, ahead of Wednesday night's Real Housewives of Salt Lake City Season 3 finale, it was part 2 of the reunion. We were hit with a sea of raining snowflakes when the news dropped that the one and only Mary M. Cosby will be returning to the show next season in a friend capacity.
Women.
Listen, I, for one, could not be more excited about this. I think that, I love the housewives that really, really keep us on our toes. You never know what they're going to say. You never know what they're going to do. You don't know their thought process. I mean, the clip that we just played, women. I will die on this hill. Top 3 funniest moments in the history of housewives. I'm just saying. That's just how I feel. Mary M. Cosby is a wordsmith in a way, and I don't care what capacity she's involved in. I just want to see her. I think she's fucking funny. Look, has she crossed some lines and said some inappropriate things? Absolutely. I do hope that we can. The network's bringing her back. So we're going to either have to accept it or not. I'm choosing to accept it. I hope that this season with her brings back that spunky, unpredictable, quirky energy that Salt Lake City had when we first got to know these ladies. And I'm ready. So come on back, Mary M. Cosby. Come on back. And speaking of Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, like I said, we closed out season 3 with the final part of the reunion this week. And to me, honestly, the whole thing just felt very quick and rushed. I feel like we just zipped through everything, like we saw the husbands for 45 seconds, all I know is look at these people that they drag out to reunions and have them sit there all day and do all this stuff and wait and glam. And in this instance, fly from Utah to New York, only to show me in the show for the blink of an eye. I love the paychecks for them, but I'm sorry, that shit would just fucking annoy me. Like, what was the point, And also, we skimmed through it. It's only 2 parts. I personally thought the reunion was very, very boring. I saw someone post that they thought the reunion was like the best part of the season. I was, in the words of Vicky, I'm going to sleep. I just wasn't feeling it. Nothing really was of interest to me until literally the last 10 minutes when they started answering questions about, Jen's future without Jen being there. And they started talking about the possibility of Coach's involvement in Jen's case. So the big takeaway from me was the revelation that Jen, well, 2 things. That is that not only that Jen and Coach Shaw were asking for money because they were to help pay for the legal fees. But also, Angie Harrington fucking gave her money. Like, why would people give her money? Why would you give Jen Shaw money? Why? To fight her legal fees? If I'm giving Jen money, it's going in a GoFundMe to the victims, not for you to pay your legal fees. Absolutely not. And of all people to give her money, if I'm being honest, I suspected it would be Heather. But Heather was the one that was like, you know, me and my Botox coins that I made from injecting all these Mormon girls' lips up here are staying right here in these pockets. So Heather kept her coin. You know, now that let's listen. Obviously, Heather is a single mom. She has kids to put through college. I get it. Angie Harrington, on the other hand, apparently her husband is like crazy loaded. Also, it's like upsetting to me. Why is she asking for money when she owes like $9 million in restitution? Like, isn't the restitution that's to be paid the $9 million? Like, isn't that supposed to go back to the people that she stole from, the people she defrauded? Heather says this financial strain is from the legal case, which, you know, because she said Jen says there's like astronomical legal fees. But my point is, like, if they're asking for money now, how the hell are they ever going to pay all the $9 million restitution back? Especially if she's not out here stealing money still, and especially if Bravo doesn't ever extend an offer to come back. What are they going to do? I mean, I know Coach makes money, but $9 million, that's a lot of fucking money. So I really don't know what I don't know what their mindset is, and I don't know what the future holds for the Shaws, but not looking good. Except, you know, one thing that Jen has to look forward to is that Heather says she will be writing Jen in prison. So that's nice. I hope. Honestly, what are they even going to fucking talk about? Heather's probably going to be like writing her and telling her about what's going on the show and be asking for like tips on like digs and shade to throw back at these ladies or something like that. You know, I have no idea. But anyway, you know, the future of Salt Lake City, I have to be honest, I think it's looking bright. We have Mary coming back. We have heard multiple times that the new cast members are bringing a lot of life into the season. The casting Instagram page said that. Andy himself said that on Radio Andy. And you know, I'm choosing to believe them. I am looking forward to a new day in Salt Lake. I am looking forward to some fun in Salt Lake, some money in Salt Lake, some shade in Salt Lake. And yeah, until then, peace out, Salt Lake ladies. All right, everybody, that is all for this week's episode of the Christian Grace Snow Show. A quick one, quick and sweet, I know. Hope you all have a wonderful weekend. And as always, don't do anything which I wouldn't do, which means you're free to go be a crazy slut pig. Love you guys. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Pesos.